back with another edition of 8-Minute Webinar. I am currently in upstate New York, hence the different background. It's not fake, it's real, and it's old school. Today I have with me Aaron Horton from Aerotek. It's a big company. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the name. So today we're going to get the inside scoop on their interview process, what they look for in candidates, and hopefully it'll be very helpful to everybody. Aaron, thanks for joining us. First, why don't you give us a little introduction on yourself, your role at Aerotek, and then let us know where you went to school.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for having me. My name is Aaron Horton. I work here as an account manager for our healthcare division. So basically my job is working with hospitals and health systems in Connecticut and Western Mass to find them candidates. I kind of bring people together with great organizations. I went to school at Gordon College, which is on the North Shore of Boston. And I've been at Aerotek for a few years now.
So first things first, just guide us into typically what early professional roles Aerotek recruits for.
Sure. So Aerotek typically hires for young professionals looking to have a more competitive environment, maybe a sales type environment or a recruiting type role. We look into candidates from all backgrounds. I actually came from a kinesiology background, study of human movement. So I didn't really go to school for recruiting and staffing, but we look at anybody that has a desire to make a difference and help bring those great people with great organizations.
If students and early professionals are actually looking to find these roles, where's the best place they can find them?
So you can go to the Aerotek website, aerotek.com, and if you're looking to work internal, there should be a link that says careers. Click on that, and then you should be linked up with one of our internal recruiting staff. And we're a national outreach company. We have 250 offices in the U.S., so basically every state has an Aerotek office. If you're looking to work here, it doesn't really matter about your geographical location. You can typically find a job opening within our company.
All right, awesome. So entry level essentially they can take an entry level role in any of those 250 locations?
That's correct, yes.
Cool. Great. And what is the interview process typically like?
So we typically like to start with a submission of an application, which includes your resume. And if it's a good match, typically the internal recruiter will reach out to you, learn more about your goals, skills, interests. And then we start the hiring process in terms of a couple of interviews. Obviously, with the pandemic, the interview process has changed quite a bit, where a lot of the steps used to be in person. Now a lot more of those can be virtual. And then after interviewing with the last person you would interview with, they typically make a decision from there.
What's the first thing that you typically look for, your team typically looks for on a resume?
You know, it's less experience and more how a resume flows. The organization, proper grammar, making sure that it's neat, orderly.
So that initial presentation actually leaves an impact for you all.
Oh, absolutely. I would say that presentation, that just shows how organized and committed a candidate is as well.
If you see a resume that's actually designed differently than others, does that usually catch your eye? Or do you prefer to see the standard format, clean, but the standard format?
You know, if something is a little bit unique, it does catch my eye.
Is GPA important?
I would say education is important. GPA can sometimes be a really great selling point based on the position you're applying for internally, but it's not a deterrent, so to speak.
Do you read cover letters?
It really kind of just depends on the role and what you're applying for. I would say that with Aerotek, it wouldn't make like if you had a cover letter versus not, that wouldn't be the end all decision on whether you would be working here or not. But I think cover letters can be a great supplement to your resume, yes.
As you know, traditional resumes have this objective section. What is your honest assessment of the objective? If it's not there, are you cool with it? Do you read the objective? Do you think it should be used in a different way than it's been used traditionally?
Well, in my opinion, like the objective on a resume, unless it's extremely broad, it can kind of limit your opportunities. So I typically recommend removing the objective in a resume. Let the resume content do the talking for you. An objective can kind of really silo your opportunities. When you're interviewing, you typically have an idea of what you're looking for, but what if they have an opportunity within the company that you didn't even think of that might even be a better fit, but your objective says you're only looking for X instead of XYZ.
Can you describe any clever approaches that candidates have taken to get their foot in the door at Aerotek?
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested with any company in general, I typically say start by doing your research. Referencing a mission statement in an interview can go a long way. Citing specific examples from a company website. So something clever that you can do during your interview is kind of ask what the mission statement means to the interviewer, how it applies to their position, and it also give you a better understanding of the company culture overall.
What are your thoughts on candidates that maybe supplement their application by reaching out to some employees at Aerotek to learn more? Is that typically well received?
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you can reference somebody that's doing well in the role currently and maybe reference that you reached out to them for some kind of guidance or understanding of the role, that kind of shows a more clear understanding of what the role is and what's entailed. And definitely things that can give you a competitive edge.
What's the best way as a candidate, or the best ways candidates can prepare for an interview with Aerotek?
So I would say outside of researching our company and being prepared for questions, I would also be prepared for the type of questioning. There's a lot of situational and behavioral type questions that are asked in interviews nowadays. So I always recommend the STAR method. So basically the S being like the specific situation of like the questions that's asked. They might ask you like a bad day at work or what have you done in a difficult situation where you had to choose between two outcomes. So talk about the situation, the T being the task at hand, what had to be done, the A being the actions that you took, and then the R being the resolution that came from the situation. Instead of just kind of giving a one or two word answer, it really helps you paint the picture of the whole situation and how you might have been feeling during it, and it helps give more specific examples and helps fully answer the question. I always recommend ending an interview on a good note as well, stating why you think you would be effective for the position, asking how you compare to other candidates that have interviewed in the past. And then thank you notes, I can't emphasize enough how important they are. It sends a positive reinforcement to the interviewer, letting them know how they did as an interview. You could even provide feedback to them, maybe something that they could improve. You know, Aerotek is very good about giving and receiving feedback. It's one of our guiding principles. So I always recommend sending individual thank you notes. Don't send a group thank you note. I always kind of say no to that.
What mistakes do you often see candidates make that you think they should avoid either in the interview process or the application process?
You know, I think that a common mistake is underestimating the interview itself. So making sure you are adequately prepared. Don't go into an interview thinking you have the answers. Definitely reinforce and definitely do your research. Also be yourself. Don't ever be the candidate that you think we want you to be. Be the candidate that you are. Aerotek is equal opportunity. We hire so many unique individuals. Be who you are, and if that's the right fit, it'll be mutually beneficial in the long run. You don't want to pretend to be somebody in the interview and have to keep up an act for years to come.
So, Aaron, thank you again so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the time, and good luck to all the interviewers out there.
Awesome.